Great to be with you, Peter Bayliss here, cardiologist. Now, a common reason why patients come to seek my advice is if they've been diagnosed with a high level of blood cholesterol. Now, for whatever reason, whether they've had a cardiovascular event, a heart attack, a stroke, whether they've got a high cardiovascular risk, diabetes, smoking, a family history, high blood pressure, and the patient seeks to have some advice, we go through some general lifestyle measures initially, and that I believe is the strongest way to help make sustainable changes to cholesterol levels if they need to be reduced. And that's an if, because not everybody with high levels of cholesterol needs to have anything done. Now, when we go through the diet, one common component of the diet comes up time and time again, and that's a question about eggs. And can they enjoy eggs if their cholesterol level is high? At the outset, I must say that eggs are an amazing source of protein and essential fats for our diet. They are powerful in terms of their nutrient density and the varied amounts of amino acids that they contain. And eggs are fantastic. So that's not often the issue. When you delve a little deeper, one other part of the diet often comes up time and time again, and that's people consuming excess amounts of cheese. That's right. Now, cheese is a great source of calcium, great source of protein. Our diet should contain, essentially, I believe, all macronutrients, and many people will have a tendency to prefer one over the other. For example, there are people who follow the keto diet, will typically have protein and fats as part of their diet, with carbohydrates being minimal or only incorporated in berries or vegetables, fibrous carbs. And there are others that have more of a Mediterranean principle and, having all amounts of macronutrients with proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. But when you delve a little deeper, one of the components of the diet, namely cheese, is one that we often tend to indulge in. And that indulgement is absolutely fine, so long as we're not doing it every single day. And people often love to enjoy, with dessert wine, having some cheese, a cheese platter, or after dinner having a cheese platter. That's often associated with consuming a bit of alcohol, wines, and so forth. And the cheeses that we often select are those that are the more delicious cheeses, in fact, the ones that have a high amount of saturated fats. Now, these cheeses, again, do form part of a varied diet. They have a great source of calcium, but also protein. But if you're trying to reduce your levels of cholesterol for whatever reason, as I mentioned, well, perhaps then consuming those in moderation is the way to go. So when we look at cheeses, and I went to my local Costco store the other day and I was just amazed to see the varied sources of cheeses from all around the world, the different types of cheeses, the white cheeses, soft cheeses, hard cheeses, and also the pretty competitive pricing, in fact. A few years ago, many of these cheeses were so expensive, they were prohibitive. But nowadays, these cheeses are modestly priced, they are readily available. Many of my patients even tell me about the local Aldi having great selection of cheeses. And it's all good to have cheese in your diet, but it's about balance and moderation. And that's really the key part of what I want to get across today. Nothing is off limits. Enjoy your eggs, enjoy your cheese. But again, with cheeses, perhaps selecting the lower saturated fat cheeses, ricotta, mozzarella, grating your cheese if it's a hard cheese rather than having chunks of it. Often you're likely to have less if you grate the cheese. Small amounts is okay, but not to overindulge in these often very highly saturated fats and often very delicious cheeses, no doubt. That's just a bit of discussion about cholesterol. One of the reasons that I get asked about my advice, again, nothing's off limits, but just be cautious about consuming too much cheese, particularly these high saturated cheeses, time and time again, a contributing factor to high levels of cholesterol and also increasing body weight. It's all calories in, calories out if you believe that. While if you're consuming a small amount of cheese, certainly they are very highly calorie dense. Hopefully you found that useful. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Until the next video, Bye for now.